check. 1, 2, check. 1, 2, check. 1, 2, check. 1, 2. Why doesn't work? Nah, I'm good. Check 1, 2. 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 It's not that one. That's odd. Check 1, 2. 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 That's weird. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Oh, that was just check 1, 2. 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 Check 1, 2.
And you're just going straight out to the house, left channel, correct? Right channel, so I mean, it really wouldn't matter. What number you have? It's not picking on here.
Nah, I know. Yeah, this is through the house. I'm not getting it. Let me test this. On there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, one to 10, one to 12.
Nah, it's there. Check 1 2. But I don't hear. I don't have it here. Check 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2. What happened between like 2 minutes ago?
Check on here.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
And they both should all be online. This is going through the house.
But not going through.
Or you taking this from here into here? No, you coming out here.
Yeah, I'm
Into
coming
the
out.
house.
I'm coming out here, going into here, and I have this mic right here is coming into here, and then this is going out into the system.
Out
You
to
know
the
what I'm saying?
system.
Yeah.
So this is only controlling
Check
this.
1 2. Check 1 2. Well, theoretically, no. This should be controlling the house as
And,
well,
right. Okay.
because the main mix should be controlling the house, and my auxiliary should be controlling this.
So basically, you're taking over the receivers from the mic, taking them directly
Yep.
over
So
here.
I have them both plugged. I have them both plugged into here, and I have Jimmy's little nigger rig
Okay.
that he put in going out into the house.
So something must be wrong with his rig.
Well, it must happen in the past 5 minutes. Like I said, I mean, we all heard it out here, but then it didn't. Then something happened and it's not working anymore.
Can you pull this up a little bit?
Uh,
Behind it.
yeah, you can.
You want Robin to run over there? Check, 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 check.
That one's coming straight to the house. But that one's hooked. I hooked that one and hooked it straight to the house anyway, so that one's gonna go through the house regardless, but it won't be going through here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But this one should be going through here
Should automatically.
out into the house.
Is
You said on the back of there, is on the back of those receivers, it doesn't have a way to go over from line level to mic level.
I just need to see it.
Should be a little small button, if anything. Try mic level. On this one. On the first one.
Check 1 2. Check.
you got just need the mic level.
Yeah, okay. Just what do you put it here or there?
Just gonna put it
As close to, up,
yep, put it right
yeah, because otherwise I don't talk into. I think the problem is when I move my head,
Sean, this one's just kind of
get it
see
up
if
there.
it, okay, now it's not yes.
Could put it on my collar, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's too. This is too floppy.
Yes. And I just need to clip this on.
Oh, I can do that.
Okay. Like that.
Just put it right here, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my waist is all rolled up. There. All right, that works. There. How's that?
That's good.
All right. And is it good volume? Or does it turn on or?
No, it's already on.
Oh, okay. All right, so I shouldn't talk not bad about anybody now. So it'll be all my mic. I'm all mic'd up now. Thank you.
Just keep them to a minute.
I see the problem is I'd have to think hard to think of something to say. Yeah, mic'd. Hopefully I don't cause a squawk. Doesn't sound like it. So there's a part in the middle that has the Quest stuff. I'm going to skip that and go straight to the Cafe Well, just because I think, and then we can come back to it later at the end if people really have a burning need. She'll take care of that part.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our Wellness Lunch and Learn. I smell a lot of good aromas. Thank you for bringing your lunches. Today's topic is Rally for Health. We brought you this workshop last summer, and we're doing a refresher today for those of you that need a reminder about the Rally for Health Wellness Program, how it works, and how to keep up with it so that you are on track for your 2020 wellness rewards. Today we have guests from Florida Blue, our wellness manager, Raynell Fields, as well as our Highland Benefits consultant, Ms. Kathy Alexa. The three of us will co-host a session and give you information about Rally for Health. So we look forward to a good conversation, and without further ado, I'm going to hand over the floor to Kathy. Thank you.
I got it. All right. Well, thank you for having me. Happy Friday, everybody. It's a great day outside, and I hope we have a great meeting today. So as Denise was saying, we just wanted to take an opportunity since, now we're at the beginning of February, to make sure everybody has a refresher on kind of what's needed in order to achieve the 2020 Wellness Reward. And to do that, we thought what better way than to do a lunch and learn. Kind of our learning outcomes that we want to achieve here today is to make sure that there's a continued understanding of the 2020 Wellness Program as distinct from the 2019 reward that we just finished up for January of 2019. I want to make sure everybody kind of knows the activities and the different things that you can do in order to achieve the reward and get to 1,000 points. We'll talk about navigating the different platforms in order to interact with the wellness plan and the program, see how you're doing, do some of the activities that are online. And that is also through the Quest Diagnostics. If anybody has not done biometrics up until this point, that would be for that piece. Look at the Better You Strides platform, which is also known as Cafe Well for people who have been in the system already. And Raynell's going to help us with doing a demo that we've looked at before, but kind of giving us a refresher on that piece. And then how you can customize your experience based on what's your path to get to the 1,000 points, and making sure that you do that by the end of the wellness program for 2020 reward. And then just get everybody encouraged to get out there and just take action, get your points and finish the program up. So just as a quick refresher, why Rally for Health? And that's what Seminole State College is calling our wellness program. And really it came down to we wanted to have a comprehensive evidence-based wellness program that encouraged people to become aware of kind of knowing your own numbers, being personally accountable for your health, having a recognition of the uniqueness of each person's situation. Not everybody's got the same health status or needs in terms of wellness. And also just becoming more self-aware of where you kind of fall and stand in terms of managing your own health and well-being through tracking activities, things like that. So this is actually in your handout, the Plan for Success handout. If you open it up, it's on the inside of that so that you don't have to see the tiny little print up here. I'll give everybody a second to do that. So this should be at your spot if you don't have one. There you go. Everybody's good? Okay. So this is kind of a checklist of all of the different activities that are available. And again, you don't have to do them all. We just have to do enough that they add up to 1,000 points to get your 2020 reward. But it also gives you an indicator of when you need to have those things done, because that's going to be a key piece to some of these activities to make sure that you are going to get the points for the 2020 program and how that would work. So in order to earn the 2020 reward, step one is you have to have had the biometric screening done. For the most part, how many people did that already for the 2019 reward? Okay, so I'm like seeing everybody, but maybe one or two people. That is all you need to do for the biometrics for the 2020 reward as well. So it's counting double. If you already did it for the 2019 reward, it also counts for 2020. So if you did not already do the biometric screening, it's not too late. You don't panic. You can still participate and earn the 2020 reward, but you do have to get that biometric screening completed by April 1st.
So just the screening has to be?
Just to even get in and start earning your points, you need to do the biometric screening. If you did it already and earned the 2019 reward, which was all you had to do for the 2019 reward was do the biometric screening, we're also going to count that screening for 2020 as the get started piece. Does that make sense? Okay. So if you did it already, don't have to do it again. It counts twice. Basically, you got double credit for that.
So the reminder that we've been sending regarding getting a screening done by April 1st, that's only for someone who had not done it by September 30th or have done it since September 30th. So if you've done it, earn the reward, or have done it after 9:30, you won't need to do it again, but by April 1st.
So I'm on another campus, and I had somebody ask me this because I was coming. But they said if they have their biometrics now, but it's not loaded into the system just yet, would it still count as long as she gets it in before April 1st?
It'll count for 2020. It did not count for 2019. Yes.
So not by March 1st. But by April.
March 1st is a different deadline. I will get to that. For biometric screening,
So for 2020.
for the 2020 reward, if you've done it already, you got your 100 points already. If you haven't done it, in order to get started earning the 2020 reward, go ahead and get that biometric screening done.
And have it loaded into the system by April 1st.
It doesn't have to be loaded by April 1st. It has to be completed by April 1st. Is that quick question over here? Yes?
If somebody has done it last year and he or she thinks that the results would be changed,
So,
year would that be?
so if you you don't need to redo it to change the results. The option is if you've done it and you said, oh, my results aren't getting me the additional points. If you can go back to the slide before. I think what you're asking is if you've done the screening, it counts for 100 points. If then the results we would look at how did you do on the results for the next piece. And if you look at the assess your health section on the checklist is what I think he's referring to. There's an in-range aspect of the next set of points. So for example, if your BMI is in a healthy range, then you get an extra 100 points. Okay, so you did your biometric, got 100 points. Now, if your BMI is in a healthy range, you get another 100 points. If it is not, then there is the option to do a well card called 4 Weeks to a Healthier You on the Cafe Well site that we'll demo here. So you have the option of either your biometric that you've already done is in range, or you can do the well card to get that same 100 points. So there's two ways to get that 100 points for that piece of it. Does that make sense to people? Same thing with, I see you have questions, but I need to keep moving forward too, so I'll get to you in a second. But for example, same thing with the cholesterol. Let's say your ratio isn't within this range. That's okay. You can do the well card for what your cholesterol number means and still earn the 100 points for that. So there's two ways to earn that 100 points for the biometrics.
And if your results have improved since your biometrics, when the next wellness year program opens up, then you'll do another biometrics, and that will capture the change from last year to this year.
He
even if you've been to the doctor in between and they've given you better number, that they can't resubmit that number?
Correct.
We're just taking it one time.
Submission or first screening results for the wellness year
20.
Thank you, 2020.
So, but if it wasn't in range, go ahead and do the alternative, which is one of the well cards, and you can still get that 100 points. So nobody's doesn't have a chance to get that 100 points if their number wasn't in range. And goodness knows I would want to have those well cards available to me because I know I wouldn't be in range either. So it happens. That's okay. There's an alternate way to get that 100 points. And so I'm sorry, the lady over here had a question. Did we answer it or?
No, because I wanted to do my blood pressure was 120. So I wanted to do the hypertension 101 well card. Well, I didn't do it right away, and it went away.
So it'll come back. It does, things come back. There's a cycle every quarter, doesn't it, refresh in there? So check again to see if it shows back up.
June of last year. It hasn't come back.
So did you actually add it on to your active
I tried
program?
that. It wouldn't show hypertension. I went through the whole thing.
Okay, so when we have a glitch with the program itself, why don't we do this? Is because I can't solve every little glitch of the system. Is what we would need to know is kind of your name and the information, and then we can research why something isn't showing up on your particular account. Okay, because I can't fix what's going on in a particular account with technically on that, but it should work that you can take that reasonable alternative on that. So anyway, very specific questions. Okay, you got another question, and then I'll give you.
I had another person from a different campus ask me to ask that if they didn't want to provide their biometrics, could they just do cards and still accumulate points? My understanding of that was no.
So in order to begin the program, people can't hear me? I have the mic and they can't hear it. Okay. So the question is, I don't want to do the biometrics and provide those numbers. Can I just do the well cards in order to participate in the program? So the biometric screening, which is where the numbers are coming from, is required to start earning points on the program. So if you want to get in the program and start earning points, the biometric screening does have to be done. Those numbers go nowhere other than into the system to decide if you get points for the actual range of your numbers or are eligible for the well card. And none of your actual results are actually reported back to the college. All they get is, you know, Kathy gets 100 points for the BMI. They don't know if I took the well card or if I had the healthy BMI. They just know I got 100 points for that. So that's how that works. And the woman in the back had a question.
My question was, when do the well call or the well cards have to be done by?
So, okay, we'll go through that. I'm going to get to that in just a second. So they're all coming. Okay, so we're going to move forward. So the first step we got. Okay. Sure, Daniel.
So after completing the health assessment, I see that there's the tobacco-free well card there. Does that automatically just come from your assessment?
Yeah, so in order to record if you're tobacco-free or not, the system gets that information when you take that personal health assessment. So you report yes or no, I'm tobacco-free or not. If you say no, I'm not, then a well card becomes available to you to complete for the alternative standard. It does. Now, I want to say it could be faster, but we don't want to overpromise with the system because you're taking the assessment in one system, it sends the information through to the Cafe Well site, and then they've got to make the alternative standard available. I can't tell you that that happens in 24 hours, but we do know that within 4 weeks it should show up. If it's not, then I think it's time to reach out. There's a help person at the Cafe Well site. We have that information at the end. But we have to keep moving.
We'll take more questions next.
Just keep waiting. Hold. So, okay, you're waving as if there's something on fire, so go ahead and tell us what it is. You can see your own, but the information's not reported to the college.
So if I put my numbers, will they count toward the rewards, or does it have to be the official?
Yeah, you're not allowed to self-report your own information. It has to come through Quest with the information. So, all right. Okay, so the biometric screening is, at Quest. If you've done it already or you've had it through your physician, it's looking at your height, your weight, your blood pressure, your fasting glucose level, and your cholesterol information. Okay? Okay, so in order to kind of manage the program, there's a couple things you need to do online in order to be able to effectively, access the activities and check your progress and all that sort of thing. So we kind of set forth, some of the things that will help you get going and get started. And the first is, if you have not done this already, and I'm sure the majority of you have, is to set up your Quest health account so that you can schedule your biometric screening or download the physician fax form if you had results done through your physician's office and things like that. So probably folks that haven't participated in the 2019 reward or are new employees since that program started will be in that kind of category. So that's the first thing to kind of make sure you've done that piece. So without that and without getting those biometrics results submitted through Quest, you can't get the information, through the actual wellness platform. So then the next thing to do is to set up your login for the Better You Strides portal, which is accessed through the Florida Blue member portal. And sometimes it's also referred to as Cafe Well and the well cards and things like that. So it's got several different labels depending on what it is you're actually looking at in the system. So if you've already set up your account, great, you're in good shape. You're able to access and see where your status is to date and access some of the activities and things like that are available. If you haven't, then now's the time to do that, and that's one of the things that Raynell is going to demo for us in a moment. Just so you know, you will not see any points show up until after your biometrics have been received at Cafe Well and loaded up into the system. So you may start accumulating points if you've done some of the online activities and things like that, but you won't see them actually show up until you've got those biometrics loaded up. So again, if for your particular situation something's not showing up and you think it is, there's a troubleshooting process that we'll talk about at the end. And then finally is if you want to participate in the step challenges, which there's one that just started this week, there is the need to sync up your tracking device to the Cafe Well site. And if you did the program in the fall and you want to do this one as well, you do have to resync your device. So it doesn't just stay synced forever once you've done it. You've got to do it each time there's a new step challenge. So the new thing that we wanted to let people know for this step challenge, which some people may have already discovered and figured out, is that now Apple devices will connect directly to Cafe Well rather than having to go through the Map My Fitness app and certain things like that. Should already be live and January 1st, they started that as a new option. So if you have a new device to so just to try and make it a little easier, and that sort of thing. We have heard some glitches happen with the trackers and getting those synced up. And again, we have some troubleshooting information at the end we'll go through. Okay. So we've got our 100 points for doing our biometric screening. Now how do you get the rest of the 900 points? And that's the key piece in order to earn the reward for 2020. All of the points have to be earned by May 31st of this year in order to count for the 2020 reward. There are some deadlines to be aware of when certain things have to be completed by, and the reason is that there's some lead time for the information to make it through the claim system from your provider to Florida Blue to Cafe Well to show up in the system to give you points. So there's a reason why some of the deadlines are a little earlier than May 31st.
Excuse me, what happens to the gap?
So what do you mean the gap?
You go back. So if we finish 5/31st, what happens? June.
So anything that happens after the program ends will count towards the next reward program, which will start in July, and that'll count towards the 2021 reward. So for example, if you go to the next slide. Oh, it's not on that one. So it's probably several slides ahead. I'll use the example of the preventive screening visit. So if you go to your annual preventive wellness visit with your provider, if you look at the planning checklist, it says that the deadline for the 2020 reward for completion is March 1st of this year. So you have to have that appointment by March 1st, and then that will count towards the 2020 reward. Let's say your appointment is on March 2nd. What happens? That will count for the 2021 reward. So, so we kind of do a look back of the appointment so that you don't lose an opportunity to win points. It just depends on which of the reward years it would go towards. And
So June can still be a month you're doing wellness activities or services with your providers. It's going to get captured when we do the look back to see what claims were processed within that 12-month period.
yeah.
You won't be able to interact with the platform because it's in a blackout period so that it can calibrate all the claims and points and then report out to us whether or not you got to 1,000 points. So June is a blackout period and then it resumes in
Yeah.
July.
Yeah. So if your appointment is,
If our points don't get posted, then who do we contact to say, hey, look, I did this and I did it way before the deadline?
so there's a process for that. We have is in the Cafe Well has a email address that we have you send it, and then
They would get a final report of all of the points that were earned at the end of the program.
yeah.
And so if there's any discrepancies, we can work back to Seminole State to do some investigation. But they'll get a final report.
Yeah.
Do we call Cafe Well or we call you back?
If it's
Well,
back.
I can confirm for you if you met the 1,000 points. And I can also do the same if you didn't. Just like we did in December, you all had notification whether or not you got the reward. We'll do the same thing in July.
Yeah, and
June.
if you know let's say you went on February 15th for your annual well care visit, and you notice that it never shows up as having points, then certainly feel free to reach out and say, hey, I did this. Is there a reason why it's not showing up? If it doesn't show up within that 4 to 12 week time period. So for the most part, things do show up, but there are sometimes weird glitches, and sometimes it has to do with something as very arcane as how did the provider code that visit, and what code then was the system at Florida Blue sweeping for, and then sending over to Cafe Well. If it was something that should have counted, but it was a weird code that was used, that can be manually fixed on the back end, and that's a very detailed thing, and we can't always predict how that'll happen in the end. So, next slide. So, I think too, we get a little bit focused on the biometrics. I get that because it's a process, a step we have to do. But there's also, some alternatives and some additional things that you can do, because just doing the biometrics and being within the healthy range or doing the alternatives isn't going to get you your full 1,000 points. So we want to make sure we get there. And this is when kind of looking into the Cafe Well site and planning out by doing that personal health assessment, it helps customize the system to present you with well cards that may be of interest and relevant to you. And then you can kind of pick and choose which of those you want to do. Some of those well cards that are some of the activities that are in here do have a little bit of a lead time, because it has you working on and tracking something over a period of days or weeks and things like that. So we want people to kind of go in and scrutinize and figure out what kind of makes sense, what they're interested in. But then don't put it all in your, I'm going to do this, what's it called, your active programs, your personal itinerary. See, I couldn't think of the word itinerary. Don't put them all there at once, because there's expiration dates for getting started and completing those things. So once you put it in your personal itinerary, the clock starts ticking down on it. So wait till you're ready to start, and then put it into your personal itinerary, and then you can start tracking it and things like that. So I think, from this standpoint, don't think that you're going to be able to log in on May 30th and get 200 points right away by doing some of these well cards, because it just won't work.
And the purpose of the well
Yeah.
cards is to help you either establish a new healthy habit or to improve on a health standard. So it is a learned behavior, and it took us time to get to where we are. So we'll take this time to make changes. So
Yeah.
the blue cards are worth 25 points. It's a maximum of 200 points for those. The orange cards are worth 50 points each. So the more involved and more complex and more commitment of time, the higher the point reward. So they're definitely really useful, helpful things. And I've heard good testimony so far from folks that have seen changes in their health because of these well cards.
And like anything, you have to schedule the time sometimes to actually do that. So anyway, next slide.
So again, you could start working on the cards now, right? And then if your biometrics, because I just took it today kind of thing, comes in just before March 31st, then everything should load before then.
So the things that you do if you don't have your biometrics loaded yet, you could be doing activities, as you said, but they may not show up until after the biometrics hit the system. And then everything will start to filter through and say, okay, you did 3 of these well cards, you get 25 points for each, or 50 points for a few of those. So that's exactly right. So first, the biometrics have to be loaded up and available and showing there. Now, the other piece to keep in mind is that the reasonable, the healthy, range measures won't show up in the system until the biometrics are loaded. So the system won't know to offer you those alternative standard well cards until those biometrics are done. So that really is the first step, and the best step to do is to get the biometric screening done, so that the program starts to interact with you and give you what you need in order to finish everything. Does that make sense?
It's customized to your results, so you want to know your results so that you're doing the appropriate cards. It's okay to do them all, but it would make sense to do the ones that are recommended for your health standards.
Right, I assume like for employees who don't already have their biometrics loaded, like for example with me, I know it gave me just a woman one because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
And so that didn't have any.
Right. So it won't know that it won't know, for example.
Started before my biometric thing was in it.
You can do a few things.
As long as it comes through by March 3rd.
So as long as the biometric screening is done by April 1st, then you're going to be able to have that information loaded into the system, and you'll be able to see points. If you wait that long, however, then it's tight to get everything done to get the rest of your 1,000 points.
Okay. And you won't
So.
have access to the specific cards, like for the BMI,
Until your biometric screening is done. Yeah.
But you have access to the healthy list.
Yes, you can do the other ones, the orange cards and the blue cards and the orange cards. You would still have access to. And you could do the step challenge. That would be something you could get started on and working on. So okay, I'm hearing some feedback that there's a lot of things I have to do. I appreciate that. Yeah. So the step challenge is going on right now. And so that's where you needed to sync your device, add that step challenge to your personal itinerary, and then just follow follow the challenge. I think that there's pieces and parts to that challenge that kind of walk you through, so, pun intended, and how to do it. I think the biggest challenge people find is getting that device synced. I was just telling Denise, I bought a Fitbit last week, and I spent a whole day trying to get the Fitbit to be recognized by Fitbit, and only to find out later it was a bum device. So, I get that there's glitchy things that happen. So patients can't control the internets. Unfortunately, I wish I could. If people are still having trouble with their device and things like that, I think Denise has now heard about every kind of possible permutation and issue between Android devices, Apple devices, and Fitbits and things like that. So.
I do have a question about that step challenge and about future step challenges. For the current one, at least, I'm sure it's how it goes going forward, but it shows your username, and there's a couple of employees that were talking about that, and they were like, that's interesting because I would want that to show. So do you guys control how you show up to other people? Because you can see everybody who's involved, you see the teams and all of that.
So, because it's being a social aspect to the challenge.
Yeah, but then it changes your username to log in. Because I've tried that to see like if it would be a different name, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it is listed with your username.
Yeah.
So is there any way to change that? So, because you can't.
No, the system is set up to pull the username from the system, and it doesn't have a way to customize that unless you want to change your username completely. How that is set up is how you'll show up in the leaderboards and in the social aspect of things, and that's just the system. So if you don't want your name there, change your username to something that is indecipherable as to who you are specifically. But.
With that more so, it's just that now everybody who's participating in this step challenge can see what my username is, and maybe lo and behold, I use that username for other things.
Well, I would keep that in mind. Anytime you're using anything on the internet, that's going to be something to consider. Anything that has anything to do with social media, that's something to consider.
Oh, of course, but this is health related, so that's why I asked.
Again, I would say that the solution is to make sure that your username isn't anything you associate with something else.
And don't tell us.
Yeah. Don't tell me what it is. I don't want to know. We have so many hypotheticals. Let's see how many things actually happen.
Competition great though. I'd love to see who's at the top every day of the logging. Never catch whoever Ken Man is, but that's motivation to get moving. So I like
Get that guy.
Competition.
First time that I logged in and saw, I was like in 40th place. I was like, no.
Don't give up. We have until March 4th, and
Keep on walking.
one way to get to 100 points.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun. It's not, the whole idea of the step challenge isn't to have people say you have access to their health information. I hear what you're saying. You're concerned about privacy and all that stuff. Then that's how you manage it, is through how you're putting yourself in there as a username. And ultimately, it's your choice to join that step challenge and be part of that leaderboard. I think it is fun. It's just the fun part of it.
I don't know if you have discussed this before, but I just wanted to make sure. Non-walking activities might be converted into steps. Does that count if you work out on your own, let's say a gym, or you take a fitness class? Can you include those?
So if your fitness tracker is on and tracking you moving and doing stuff, that will accumulate onto the step challenge piece. So again, if you have some kind of a limited mobility or something like that, if you have a tracker that's on and tracking those things are going towards the challenge and activity. So the key is you gotta have the tracker on though. I'm famous for doing stuff and then realizing I didn't have my darn tracker on. I can't help you with that.
That's one of my questions. The physical activity I began doing 3 weeks ago, I'm not allowed to wear anything on me, so I cannot wear any trackers or.
You could type it in.
So there is an self-report. Self-report, choose the activity from a list.
Okay.
Swimming, tennis, rowing,
Yeah.
whatever it is you're doing, find that activity and put the converted amount of steps in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can,
Yeah, but you have
so there is a manual way.
If you can't get a device to sync or you don't have a device, you're going to do that.
that is our preferred.
That's the preferred.
Way to participate, but there's other.
Well, and the reason is multifold. One is, again, we can't always control the internets, and the fact, I call it the internets being silly, but the tracking devices, sometimes you just can't get the darn thing to sync. I don't want everybody to quit doing the step challenge because they can't get the darn device to sync. You know, or they, you know, the reason I needed a new Fitbit is I drove over my other one. So, you know, so we don't want that to be the barrier. But the preferred is to have it be through the tracking device because, you know, it's more likely that people will have their points and get and get added into the leaderboards and the accuracy, the fun of it.
You don't have to think about it or
Yeah.
remind yourself to go in and log.
Yeah.
It's happening automatically.
Yeah.
It will sync on your behalf.
Yeah. So, next. How much time do we have? Just checking. We're doing okay. I want to make sure there's time for Raynell. Okay. Okay. So, how easy it is to get to 1,000 points? Well, I think it's a strategy piece of what's the easiest path for you or that you're most comfortable with. And so we're giving you one particular idea. This doesn't have to be what you do because there's other paths. And the other part of that is that, you know, we do have those reasonable alternative standards available. And this is all completely a voluntary program. So if you want to participate in the reward and earn that reward, 100 points for the annual biometric screening, good, done. Up to 400 points for the healthy ranges or the alternatives through those healthy cards, those well cards. Could get another 100 points just for going in and doing your annual wellness visit. So that could have been any time from last year until through March 1st of this year. So we're going to go back and we pull it from claims data. And so again, that's why I said sometimes it doesn't show up. Let us know because sometimes it's because of how it was coded. That's another way. So now you've potentially gotten yourself up to 600 points just from those things. Those are all good things to do for ourselves. If let's say you want another 100 points and you want to customize the well cards that you'll see in your options, take that personal health assessment online. Those results are used to customize what well cards are available to you. And it's also where you can report being tobacco free, which is worth another 100 points. So in this particular example, another 200 points. So now you're at 800 points. So what could you do to get your last 200 points? Take part in one of the step challenges for 100 points each. And the other was get a flu shot. The flu shot clinic was last fall for the 2020 reward. So it's already over. And so if you didn't do it then, the idea would be for 2021, you can do it in the fall when we have that health flu shot clinics at each of the campuses for that.
If we did do the flu shot during that time frame,
You should already see your points.
so but what if we're creating our account now? Would we have to notify HR to upload that?
No, once you create your count, whatever is out there in the system, it'll magically appear. It's just sitting out there waiting for you to set up your account. So, yeah. So then you got to your 1,000 points. So biometric screening, really, it's for you to know your own numbers. Annual wellness visit doesn't cost you anything. I think it's a critical piece to maintaining our health and a good way to stay ahead of any emerging issues. A step challenge, those are fun and good for you. Flu shot, again. So none of these things here, was too onerous, I think, in this particular path. There's other paths to choose, and that's why we try to offer a variety of activities. So let's say you didn't do your annual wellness visit, and you have no plans to do that, because I certainly haven't done it. I don't have a doctor yet. I just moved to Florida last year. I don't have a doctor yet. So I'm not going to get that annual wellness visit. I've got to find another way to get to the 1,000 points. So for me, I might look at doing some of those well cards. I might say, okay, there's a couple of well cards that I could do to earn another 100 points a different way. Does that make sense? How many people know how many points they have right now?
I had a question about that. On where it lists the points there, is that the points at the top that are for 2020?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you get rollovers if you've gone over?
No rollover. You're just an overachiever, and we love you. I love it because I wish I could borrow some points from somebody. Because I always am. I'm lagging. I'm always the one going, oh yeah, I got to do my points. I got to do my points.
And
So.
it goes the other way as well.
Yeah.
You do need to get all the way to 1,000
Yeah.
in order to earn the reward.
Yeah. So there's no partial credit.
Just keep going.
Yeah. No partial credit. So 1,000 points to get the reward. So.
Now, in order for them for it to be for 2021, I may as well wait to do stuff in July, correct?
If you're already at 1,000, that is a choice you can make. Yeah.
Yeah.
Up until next year.
Yeah, if you already made it to 1,000, you got your 2020 reward locked in. Perfect. You may decide you want to say, okay, I'll get re-engaged on the tracking piece of it in July. Not to say you can't go to the doctor. Let's say you always see your doctor for your mammogram, or you go for your mammogram every year in May. Great. Go, because that will get pulled in for the 2021 reward, right? Or let's say you always go in and get your colonoscopy if you have to get one that particular year, and you go in June. Great, do that, because that will count towards the 2020 reward.
And the idea of the program is that we're not asking you to alter your schedule with your doctors. Just do what you normally do when you normally do it, and then the program will just pick up your activity in one or the next wellness year.
Mm-hmm. So, kind of what's coming up, and I think we've talked about that. February, we've got the STEP challenge going. It sounds like people are already in it and competitive. I love that. We talked about the deadline for getting your preventive care visits in order to have it count for the 2020 reward by March 1st. After that, it'll count towards the 2021 reward.
Do you want to say what is the preventive care?
So the preventive care visit would be the annual preventive services visit that you have that everybody can have for no cost when they go to their primary care physician. Important thing to do is to make sure when you make the appointment that you make it clear you're there for your annual, screening appointment, rather than just going in and saying, well, my elbow hurts and can you also take my blood pressure? So it's a different kind of visit, so make sure they schedule it that way and it gets billed that way. The well woman exam can also be done. Sometimes your PCP will do the well woman exam, or you might go to your OB/GYN and have the well woman exam done. Then there's also mammograms. So some of these things, not everybody is in the age range to have that particular screening. These are based on the the medical standards for when the screening should be done. So that's why there's other alternative activities to do. So, this doesn't apply to you. There's other ways to get to that 1,000 points. The other big deadline that we talked about was the biometric screening for the 2020 reward, if you don't already have the points for that. And then also the health coaching programs. The deadline for completing those is by April 1st, again, so that the information can get reported out into the system. So that points can be awarded. If you start engaging in some of those healthy coaching activities after April 1st, it'll count to the 2021 reward. I can't even say 2020 yet, let alone 2021. It seems so far away, but it's not. So, so the other things that went towards that preventive care were the colonoscopy was the other piece. So you had your annual preventive screening, your well woman exam, mammogram, and colonoscopy. The flu shots were already done back in September.
If you're in a diabetes prevention program, when do they report to you?
So that's part of, yeah, I was just about to say that. So when we talk about the health coaching programs, we're talking about the Next Steps health coaching options, the Healthy Additions prenatal program, and the diabetes prevention program. So, and again, if you're in the middle of that program, you haven't finished up the program, it's not for nothing in terms of the points. It will count towards the next reward year. That's all. Well cards and the reasonable alternative standards. We need you to have logged in and completed those, anything you're going to do in the Cafe Well site by May 30th, so that it gets captured and pulled in by the 31st of May. So they have to be completed by that. Doesn't mean start that day. Don't start that day. It'll be a really long, bad day. that would be the day you have to have it finished by. Okay.
Won't let you go through it all in one day.
Yeah, some of them exactly. The point is.
Finish it all in 2 days, it still makes you wait a week.
Yeah, and as educators, we can kind of understand and appreciate that, you know, cramming for the exam at the last minute doesn't always mean you're going to pass the test, or get all the points for the class. You got to turn in the homework as you go. So it's a little bit of that aspect of it, is that, you know, we get more out of things if we, you know, go through the process.
If I could add, I've gotten this question a couple of times. The health assessment is not a visit to a doctor. It's actually a questionnaire that you can pull from your ad programs category of your personal itinerary, and it should take no more than 5 to 10 minutes to answer some medical questions. You will need your biometrics results because some of those values need to be entered in the assessment. So just wanted to point out that that's not another visit to a doctor.
And I think that's just one more way to show that the systems aren't all talking to each other, because obviously your biometric screening results would have been pulled in and show up in there, but it doesn't get pulled in and into the personal assessment. You self-report that, but it's best to have the numbers that you got from your biometric screening in order to move that.
What's good about the health assessment too is you can update that. So let's say you did it last September, but you know your values have improved. You can go back in and update them. You won't get double points, but that's a way for you to document your latest blood pressure or weight or whatever values have changed.
And that'll be available every year?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And will
Yeah.
that always include
The tobacco-free?
tobacco-free?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then really June is a reset time period for the vendor that does all of the programming and all that sort of thing, and we're making sure all of the points actually are showing up and researching why aren't they or why are they not. So that's all kind of the blackout period for the system itself, and then the 2020 program begins on July 1st. 2021. So everything we're doing now impacts you for calendar year 2020. So.
On the diabetes prevention thing, I had that opportunity to do that, but now are they only going to do that for the 1 year? No, but I'm saying financially. Because I did the Weight Watchers, and so they were covering it for that first year, and now the year is up.
So
There's a waiting period. So if you participated once, there's a 1-year waiting period before you can rejoin that program.
And you cannot do Weight Watchers again.
So you got to do something else.
but that has more to do with the diabetes prevention program itself rather than the wellness program or anything to do with that. It has to do with how that program is structured and things like that. So.
But graduating that program is great.
I know, great job, by the way.
I want to do it again.
This might be a question for you, but what is the telephone agreement thing about? Is that Teladoc? Because I know Teladoc's new this year. Health coaching.
Oh yeah, so the health coaching is, no, that's a telephone, coaching call. It's not telemedicine like the Teladoc or something like that. It's a call with a health coach.
So it's a registered nurse that basically can help you set goals, or help you eating, stress, activity. Okay, where do we get that?
So where do we get that?
Their number, their number, if you click on the activity in the site, it'll have their phone number, you can call and register.
So it's in the Cafe Well.
It's called
Next step.
Next Step Coaching, yeah. Oh, okay. So that's an activity.
So that tells me that we're ready to go and look at the Cafe Well site, so that we can kind of learn how to navigate and then figure out what they do. And then obviously, the college is compliant with all of the confidentiality requirements of HIPAA and GINA. Only if you provide the information voluntarily, like some of you have in this room, do we actually know anything about your personal situation. So.
And one of your handouts today is actually the full notice, so feel free to take that with you so you can read some more.
So I'm going to skip this section on the Quest piece because so many people already have done their biometrics, and there's a few people who might be newer hires or whatever, and we've had an orientation on that. So we're going to skip those slides for now. We can come back to them if we have time at the end.
Are we doing it as PowerPoint?
Yeah, this will be posted.
Posted on the website? Our website?
Rally for Health.
Mm-hmm.
It's currently posted. The last presentation, we just tweaked it a little, but we'll update it with this one.
Okay. So right now, the first step, really, I'm just going to get us high level started, is to log in and create an account for Better Strides U. You have to go and log in to Florida Blue's site. Do you want to turn this off?
Better Strides U is not the same as Seminole.
So Better You Strides is Florida Blues branding for their wellness house. Then they contracted with Cafe Well, who provides a platform for the wellness program. Then the college customized that to call it Rally for Health. Well, all three are the same thing.
Well, so you're in Cafe Well, you are in this Better Strides.
Correct.
Okay.
What's in a name?
I just didn't know if I needed to sign up for one.
So you can go to cafewell.com to log in.
Well, we again recommend going to FloridaBlue.com because that's your portal into your member account. And then to the right side,
I'm gonna go to-
there's a tab called Better You Strides. That's where you would enter Cafe Well from. You can also enter from the Health and Wellness tab, but the Better You Strides is this huge.
So if we go to the cafewell.com, it's not giving us the same.
It does, but it's a shortcut. So I'm actually talking through go through the front door of your medical account, then you can go off to Cafe Well. But if you do want to just take the shortcut, Cafe Well does work.
Okay.
And I think that also there's a app that people can load for Cafe Well and go direct that way. But the key is first you got to register through the Better Strides U. Better You Strides. Again, no, that's easy.
It is. This works better on Chrome, so I'm just trying to see if this will work well with Canon.
So Renelle is actually logging in directly through Cafe Well because that's where the demo information is. So that's why she's going straight there.
Okay, so can everyone hear me? Well, all right, thank you again. My name is Renelle Fields from Florida Blue. And as Catherine was stating that I'm logging in right into the Cafe Well site, you would log in through Florida Blue. You would log in through your Florida Blue member account and then go to Better You Strides. There'll be like a little square when you log in. You'll click on that. And if you're registering for the first time, you'll have to create another username and password, and then you'll be directed to this site. Some people try to use the same username and password that they have for Florida Blue, so you're not trying to remember another username and password, if that works. But once you land on the Rally for Health site and log in, this is what the site will look like if you haven't logged in before. And so I'm just going to try to go through some of the key features of the site. Feel free to stop me if you have questions as I'm going through the site. So I have logged in as a Rally for Health participant. If you're logging in for the first time, I would recommend that you go to your profile where your username is located. This is where you can make changes to some of the features and the settings. So under profile and settings, you can actually change your username. You can add a picture as well. And also, I wanted to check on your question regarding seeing the username because there may be a workaround for that, but I just need to look into that. But you can add a picture if you want. You can also change your username as well. And you can add information about your health interests, and you can decide who can view it. So for example, I love eating, I don't know, bagels or whatever you want to add. you know, if someone's searching your profile or searching for people, they may have certain health interests that may align with yours. And then you can decide who can see it, whether it's just you or your friends or everyone, which is public. And I'll show you kind of what I mean by public. So that's in your profile there. Um, and so I'll go back and answer your question. I'll look into that regarding seeing the username. I want to do a little bit more research on that. Also, under the profiles and settings, this is where you can change your username, your security questions, and your passwords and things like that. Another area is the communication preferences, which sometimes people typically miss. And this is where you can actually change your number, your time zone, but you can also decide what type of information you want to receive. Do you want to receive emails from Cafe Well, newsletters, information about webinars? Would you like for Cafe Well to notify you when your biometric results are in? Typically, that's already kind of checked as yes, but if no, you would just click on edit and check on it, so you won't receive that. So you can control your communication preferences. You can also connect your device under profiles and settings, and you can also connect your device in the step challenge as well. This is just another option where you can connect your device. You would have to be on you would have to actually be on a device on your app. I don't have.
Pull up the actual step challenge well card, and there's an option to connect your device. Scroll through it. App will help this listed. I just did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you have your phone out, yeah, I can definitely show you afterwards. So that's under your profile. Also, there's a social media component that's added to this particular site. You can send messages to people who are your friends or to coaches. They're online health coaches. They're not the next step coaches. They're just coaches through Cafe Well. So if you have questions about some of the resources, you can message them as well. You can message your friends. In addition to that, you'll also probably get notifications. So say you say, I want Cafe Well to send me an email when my biometric results are in, you'll get like a little ping up top that says that you have a notification, for you to read that. Another area under the profile is your connection. So you can make friends with people within the Cafe Well network. It can be anyone who is inside or outside of Seminole State College. You can search their names by their name or their username. If you want to invite a friend or a family member outside of the network, meaning that they don't have coverage through Seminole State, you can do that. So you can invite like a sister who's supporting you with your goals. You would send her an email, an invitation here, and she'll get a message to set up an account. She won't have access to your account, but she'll have limited resources on Cafe Well, and she or he can support you with your wellness goals, and so they don't have to be a member for that. And then if you need help or if there's some frequently asked questions, that's under your profile under help. So now I'm going to go to the home page after we kind of looked at some of the details on the profile. These rotating messages at the top, they're called jumbotrons, but I just call them large messages. If you're logging in for the first time, I would recommend that you look at these. One of the most important ones is the tutorial here. It basically, if you click on this, it will show you information about the site and how to navigate through the site and how to add a well card or a wellness program. And so you can just kind of go through and just see some of the steps and of how to navigate through the site and add a program. You'll also see different messages about how you can earn rewards, preventative care screenings, information about your step challenge that's going on now. That'll be up there as a message. And then also you'll see this earn rewards. So if you want more information about your incentive program, you can click on that earn rewards message, And it'll direct you to the page that just gives you steps on how to get to your reward. And then there's some details at the bottom about just some specifics about the program, when it starts and when it ends, and some other details. And so that's some of the messaging at the top. And so now we're going to kind of get into the actual personal health itinerary, which is this area here. And so the personal health itinerary is just like a place where all your programs land, and they're recommended based on the results of your health assessment and your biometric screening. And there are a few other programs that are in there, like the Next Steps program and Healthy Addition, that's added to the personal health itinerary. And so in there you have active programs, and so these are programs you've already added, you're actually working on. So that's when the time starts clicking, and I'll talk about that, just managing your time, because these programs do expire. We also have previous programs, and these are programs that you've completed. And so once you complete them, you can't go back and retake them, but you can go back and actually look at them, look at some of the detail on it, but you just can't go back and retake it. And then what's most important is add programs. So these are all the programs that are waiting for you to basically add and participate in. And so once you complete your biometric screening, you will start seeing more of these programs loaded within 4 to 6 weeks. And you can choose the ones that you would like to participate in. The ones that you want to focus on, I'm just waiting for this to load, are the blue ones, which are the healthy habits, as we talked about earlier. Those are the easier programs that may take a week or two to complete. And then the orange ones, which are the healthy living, they take a little bit longer to complete, but you get more points for those. Seems like it's really loading really slow, but those are the ones that you want to look at, those two here. That's a healthy habit, a shorter one, and that's a healthy living. And I'll show you how to add one of those.
Renelle, I think one of the things that comes up is people ask, well, what if it's a well card shows up that doesn't have the blue and the orange? Does that mean it's worth no points at all? Or is there ever a situation where something is on there that you can do and earn? I'm thinking more like the healthy, reasonable.
Real alternatives, yeah, that's going to cover that.
An orange or a blue line on it, but it's still something
Yeah, yeah.
from.
Yeah, I was going to cover that. So yeah, so there are some here like, oh, this one is not orange or blue. You don't get points for that. But there's some that are not labeled orange or blue that you do get points for, and those are your reasonable alternatives, meaning based on your biometrics, you can get points. For example, one of those ones here is break the smoking habit. I completed the health assessment. I reported that I'm a tobacco user within this year. So after that, I got this program added, and in order for me to get points for my tobacco activity, I would need to complete this one. It's not labeled with a blue or a orange, but I can get points for it because it's connected to one of the activities for, as far as being tobacco free.
A good tip to know will I get points or not is to go to your rewards page.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a card that's called out by name and it's assigned the points, then you know you'll earn points for that.
Yep.
We go to that page.
Yep. I'm actually going to go there.
What if you start a card and then you always have so many days to do it, but you just, something happens, you don't get to finish it, can you go back to it?
Now, if you want to get out of it before it ends, you can do that. I can show you.
What if it expires?
Expires, yeah. Once it expires, you can't go back into it. It's actually gone. So I would recommend, if you're like getting close to the end, you're like, I don't think I'm going to get this done, I can show you how you can get back out of it, and it'll go back to your ad programs. So it kind of restart, but it does restart the clock for you.
But once it's expired, it's gone.
It's gone.
Or it's gone until next year.
It's gone until it resets. Yeah.
What's the criteria for exploration? I don't understand.
So they're timed activities, Bill.
Wouldn't it be open to the window that we have time to get points?
No.
Why not?
Because there's some activities, it could be read an article, watch a video, track an activity, and you're given a certain number of days to do that. So once those days are passed, that chapter expires.
Why?
Because it's
I'm just
meant.
gonna play devil's advocate. Why does it
takes consistency, and it takes doing it in a period of time that isn't, you know, hit or miss, and here and there, just to be completely frank. That's how the programs were developed, and that's why they're set up this way. So we don't control that aspect of the program. We need to learn to work within it and understand how to maximize our ability to work our way through and earn those points.
But this
And
is
so,
also our first time going through this. So
and that's
a lot
why
of us
we're
are learning,
talking.
and if we screwed up and now we've lost a program that we need because it's 100 points, why can't we get it back?
There might
This
be
is our
another
first
one.
year.
No, it might be another one. I get it. Learning curve. That's why we're doing this refresh. That's why we're talking about the strategies for it. That's why there's more than one way to get to 1,000 points. So I get that. I think it'd be frustrating too. Raynell has a strategy for how, if you're thinking, I'm not going to make this, I'm not going to finish this up in time, I didn't focus on it, and now it's almost expired. How to say, I'm going to withdraw from this activity and put it back in the menu.
But I'm talking about things that they're gone.
Well,
They're gone.
then it's time to move on to the next one, unfortunately. That's what you gotta do, is move on to the next one.
Well,
and try
that
to
wasn't
get-
made clear, I don't think, in the very first.
Well,
We never can go back and get that ever
I
again.
think it was, it was, but you may not have been at that particular.
I was
lunch
in the one in the summer.
So
Now,
it's
some of
something
the
we can,
tips that we try to impart with everyone is that you don't add more than you can complete because they do have a timing.
But I guess that what we are voicing and the concern is that we may not have enough activities or ways to make up the 1,000.
And that really is.
So that is the
Yes.
case, what's
Yes.
gonna happen?
And I agree. Now, that is some good feedback, and we will take that into consideration, but that's come from the 2021 program, which is, you know, something there. So now it's a matter of figuring out how are you gonna get your 1,000 points some other way. So
Sis, I'm
we're
sorry.
starting now.
I'm sorry, we're not gonna voice it. I think this review is very good, but maybe we should have gotten it earlier.
So again, you know, I think that it's, we still have time. There's still have, don't panic. It's February 8th. We still have till the end of May to get all the well cards done and get all our points in. So don't panic. We will, you know, find, there are ways to get to 1,000 points within this time frame. Most of you, because the way everybody said in the, you know, raise their hands, have already got into the program by doing the biometric. That's one of the biggest time, you know, in terms of making the appointment, getting it in, getting that data in there. A lot of you already have quite a few points towards that 1,000. So now the key is just getting it over the goal line. How do we get to that 1,000? And so there should be enough well cards available. Maybe it wasn't the one you originally wanted to do, but there should be enough available to be able to get to the 1,000 points. Maybe
Okay.
you could show us that aspect of how.
Okay, I also wanted to show you how to.
I think that's where the angst is
Okay.
coming from, and I'm hearing you, I understand. So the angst is, how do I make sure I'm not putting myself in a position where I don't have enough options out there to get to the 1,000 points? So can you show us those pieces?
Show them how to back out of a program? Okay. So yeah, I'm actually going to add a healthy living program now, so I'm going to join it now. And once I join that program, it moved from add programs to active programs. So now it's over here on the left-hand side is in my active programs. And so now this is when the time starts, you know, ticking. And here is where I could just see all the activities I need to do for this 6 days, what I need to do, whether it's reading material, tracking a behavior. But say, you know, it's that second week and I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm going to get this done. I don't want to lose this card, you know, which is, you know, unfortunate. I want to back out. You can click on details and then click on leave program. And it asks you again, do you want to leave the program? And once you leave the program, it goes back to your ad programs. But you would have to do that before the program expires. So I know that's what your challenge, like once it's gone, it's gone.
That wasn't made clear.
Okay, so can you leave the program before the whole thing expires, but after one portion of it has already gone through?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are chapters, right?
Yep.
So like what if chapter 1 expired, but I'm on chapter 2, I did chapter 2, now I never did chapter 3, now I'm on chapter 4, or whatever. Like I have like gaps, can I still leave and it'll still come back? So I
Yeah, you
start
can.
all over?
Yeah, because if something expired within those 4 chapters, you're not gonna get the points anyway, because you have to do it all. So I would recommend leaving anyway, because you're really wasting your time. So yeah, you can definitely just back out. Once you don't feel like you're not meeting the goal, I would just back out and take it back to the app programs. Just you know.
Do you know, does this company rotate those things like every 3 months where it would bring it back again, or it's never gonna come back?
The programs are loaded every quarter. Every quarter.
So every quarter we'd have a chance to do something that we missed.
It could be that one that they have so many programs, but they just load more programs every quarter. So.
The expired program will not be back in her available ad program section until the next reset.
Yes. But she would get other ones in the next quarter. So you still can. There's opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of well cards, but I understand there may be one particular.
And the more well cards you complete, then new well cards will refresh and be introduced into your class.
And I think you had a good point earlier that if I have the option to do well cards and I'm already at my 1,000 points, I should just leave it there until July.
Honestly, to be honest with you,
After July 1st, start it up again.
so
I get it.
yeah, and that's exactly the point, is that there's more than one way to skin the cat. Here is, and more than one cat. I have to be honest with you, I don't know that I have the patience to try and get all my points through the well cards. I might say, okay, from that aspect, then I'm gonna, for sure, and I would have to do them for the biometrics. I mean, that's just gonna be a given in my situation. But I for sure would say, okay, well, I better get my mammogram because I need it anyway, and I have to get points for that and not have to do a well card for it. The well cards are there, though, as a backup. I wouldn't make that the only piece of the program. I would look at that as almost like your backup. How to get an extra, 100 points by doing the healthy habits, or an extra 200 points for doing the healthy living. Because of the fact that it is more of a time commitment to do those chapters and do that tracking. So if I want to do a one and done, I would have made sure I got that flu shot. I would do that. I would kind of do a strategy for myself of this. How am I going to get there? I'm going to be honest, I'm a least effort person. How can I get to my 1,000 points with the least effort? And so I get it, and I'm the same as everybody else. I would do that kind of strategy. The well cards are good backup. It's a good backup. And I think in my particular case, if I were going through this program, I would need them.
But I've continued to do a lot of the cards on a semi-regular basis just because the information is very good and it's helping me to live a healthier life. So I'm not gonna do the one and done and forget about it for the next 8 months.
That's great, and that's, you know what, that's what the real goal would be, is that people find that useful and helpful, and not this worry. The process is what I think is really bogging us down, trying to get to that 1,000 points. And hopefully we can get through that piece of it and get people to the part of, this is really great material. It's not just nice to know, it's actually going to help you make change.
You have a year to work on these. So the idea isn't that you're cramming, working against the clock. You have a year to work on them. You could do 2 a month and still get your 1,000 points over a year.
Is anybody in this room actually at or above 1,000 points already?
Well,
you overachieved. You guys are awesome.
Mhm.
So I would say these are good people to say, hey, how'd you do that? And what has gotten, kind of sparked you to be interested in some of these additional ones? If you have recommendations maybe afterwards for people of good well cards that you enjoy.
Well, my problem is now I'm gonna go in and drop them because it's like it's just so good. I mean, yeah, it's
You
fine
can
for education, but it doesn't give me points for the next one.
Well, and that might
roll them over.
So now, if we're done, I'm actually going to go to the rewards page. I know we talked about this earlier at the top of the menu, the rewards page. So this is where you'll see all of your activities listed. And so at the top, you can see all of your biometric measures and the desired ranges. And within 4 to 6 weeks after you complete your biometric screening, you'll see your results. It'll let you know what status you're in, if you are in within range, and then it has the actual screening date. So you'll see that within 4 to 6 weeks of completing your wellness screening.
Now, the other part of that is, though, you already have your results from Quest or from your physician, office visit. So it won't be news to you, those numbers, but it'll be showing up in the system. And
Yeah, you
showing
could see it. Yeah.
where you are in that. Yeah.
You can see it. And then these are the activities. You can actually click on these activities for more detail. Like, for example, the diabetes prevention program. It has the date ranges on there, and you can click on the actual program. And it just gives you a little bit more detail. You can click on this link to get the information about the diabetes prevention program. And so you can actually click on each activity just to get a little bit more detail. But as Denise was saying earlier, definitely go to this list and compare, which ones will align with some of the well cards, like the Next Steps health coaching and the Healthy Edition, those types of well cards. So, and then at the bottom here, if there's questions regarding your account, like say for example, you get locked out of your account and you can't get back in, or you notice that a well card's not there, you qualify for a BMI or 4 weeks to healthy living, and you don't see it, it's been past 6 weeks, you can call or email the customer service Better You Strides, and they can help you kind of navigate through that. Or if you want to reach out to Denise, but if certain things that you may be able just to resolve with customer service, because they can log into your account with your permission, versus Denise taking extra steps to try to resolve that.
Bill, this is where you would look, and you look for the well card by name. If you want to go back up to reasonable alternatives, everything that says, I'm sorry, keep going.
Which one?
Up.
Go up.
I'm sorry, down. Or 4 weeks to healthy use. That's a well card. It won't have an orange or a yellow banner, but it's worth 100 points. So this could be, you could use this as a guide, as in, if I don't do this, there's a well card I can take, and that well card is equal to 100 points.
But that's the one if you don't do it in time, it will not come back again.
Right. Correct. They're all timed. All well cards are timed.
But we also, everything on here is going to be timed.
Yeah.
All of them are. The health assessment is another well card that is at the top. That's a well card. It's white, but it has 100 points. Plus 100 for smoking. So that activity alone can give you 200 points.
Or not to challenge.
For it to be a non-smoker.
Yeah.
I thought the walking challenge was something, and then here it says.
Oh yeah.
Now, the point though, to do the health, to get the 100 points for being tobacco free, you have to do the health assessment. If you're not tobacco free, you can do the alternative.
Breaking the habit.
The 100 points. So everything that has an outcome attached to it, in terms of your BMI or your blood pressure or something, there is another way to get that same 100 points. So it's not that you're locked out of it if you don't meet that particular measurement.
So we're looking at the time. We have only 7 minutes left. So if you guys have any burning questions, we can take them outside of this room. But we want to make sure that we finish up the slides so that you have all the information about the program. So thank you so much for the conversation and the questions. Hopefully what we've shown you has helped you understand the program a little bit more. So we're going to go back to the slides. Can we go back to the slides?
I do have one last question. It's that if my biometrics, so I'm in a situation where 19 counted for 19
different, but let me just show you all where our Rally for Health information is. So if you go to the Seminole State homepage, if you want to just do a quick search, Rally for Health.
Oh, you have to, that will need you to toggle back to the internet.
So I'm currently on the Seminole State homepage. This is the Rally for Health that I did in the search box, and it landed me here. Presentation from last fall is right here. Looks very similar to the one we have. We will get the new one posted in a couple of days.
All the same slides. We just kind of shortened it up and made it a little bit shorter number of slides for this presentation because we're thinking this more as a refresher than a start from scratch. So that's one reason that the presentation is a little different. The content is still there.
And there's also a video that was recorded at the Oviedo session that's posted on the same link. So this information is available right now. As soon as you walk out the room, you can get the last slides, and we'll get the new one up in the next couple of days. Okay? You're welcome.
How much information is there about 2020 and 2021 regarding the rewards? Last year you said there was 50 monthly rewards. Is there any updates to that? Is that going to stay the same throughout, or is that going to decrease?
It is the same at this point. It's the same $50 per month for 2020 that we're currently receiving in 2019.
What about for 2021?
Not yet determined. Yeah.
So for 2020, we can expect still a $50.
That's, yes. Yeah. All right, so thank you all for your attention. Thanks for coming, and have a good afternoon.
Quick question. You guys are challenging me. Every little detail. I love it.
For those of you that registered, you'll be getting PDC credits, but if you haven't registered and you walked in, please send a request to Learning Connections. Thank you.